Hello, everyone. Welcome to All Together Now, Tramshed's free arts program running every Tuesday and Sunday at 4 p.m. throughout spring on YouTube Live. Also, just to get the most out of the session today, please choose live chat rather than top chat on the chat function. This way you can chat to us and other people joining in the session. So amazing, nice to see all of you. Nice, well, not to see all of you, but nice that some people are here, some people are not. Whenever you join, whenever you watch this, thank you for watching it. I want to take a few moments for you to have a look around your house or scroll through your phones if you haven't already, for objects and memories. So these could be things you might have found on a walk, jewelry that you keep close to you, photos from a special holiday or experience, or objects that you have in your home, your bedroom, that hold a particular significance. So have a think what things you might pick up if you haven't already. What stands out to you? What things excite you that you want to speak about, that you want to write about? And just while we wait for everyone to collect their things and just come together, we're going to read a poem by Kit Wright called The Magic Box. And hopefully it will inspire us and we can see how our poem might be structured. So, The Magic Box. I will put in the box the swish of a silk sari on a summer night, fire from the nostrils of a Chinese dragon, the tip of a tongue touching a tooth. I will put in the box a snowman with a rumbling belly, a sip of the bluest water from Lake Lucerne, a leaping spark from an electric fish. I will put into the box 3 violet wishes spoken in Gujarati, the last joke of an ancient uncle and the first smile of a baby. I will put into the box a 5th season and a black sun, a cowboy on a broomstick and a witch on a white horse. My box is fashioned from ice and gold and steel, with stars on the lid and secrets in the corners. Its hinges are the toe joints of dinosaurs. I shall surf in my box on the great high rolling breakers of the wild Atlantic, then wash ashore on a yellow beach, the colour of the sun. So hopefully that made you think of something, maybe a particular line moved you, a particular image. And there's something in there that inspires you for today's session. Now, before we start, one really important thing to remember is that there are no rules with poetry. So you're writing your own poem. So you have complete control on how you'd like it to flow. The most important thing is for you to feel like you have the freedom to express yourself however you wish, with the help of these objects and memories reminding you of certain sensory experiences or emotions that will help guide you on your way. So I'm going to take you through a collection of photographs from walks I have been on in lockdown, and from past memories, objects from around the house. If you have your objects and memories next to you physically, now is the time I would encourage you to choose your first item or photograph. Study it closely. What does it feel like? Does it remind you of a particular time of year? Was there a certain smell in the air that you remember? Does it remind you of a place, a person? These are all really useful things to think about to take us back to that memory so we can become centrally immersed. Sometimes, though, if I'm stuck, I like to use FED, fed. Fact, emotion, description. So to show you how this might work, I will start my first line with, I will put in the box. And here is my first object. It's very simple. I grew up by the sea, so seashells, stones, they always bring back certain memories. Fact, it is a shell. Emotion, I picked it from the shore, and from what I remember, it was a beautiful day, a really summery, beautiful day. Description, it is smooth, it is white, it's in the shape of a swirl. So this is how it might turn out. Smooth white swirl of a shell from the shore. Which words do you want to choose? What sounds did these words have? Also, it's interesting and it happens very naturally. You'll see that for some reason, some words follow each other in a better order than others. So if I said the white smooth swirl of a shell, it maybe wouldn't flow as interestingly. So think about the order of your words and you can always move them around. How do you explain this object? So try it. If you don't like this idea, it's not, you don't have to do this, but try it. Fact, emotion, description. How can you describe your object? If you're doing it together, if you're in a group or a family, if you've got your pet with you, however you wish, however you are, speak to other people. How would you describe it? It's interesting how one object, for instance, a shell for you might bring back a completely different memory than it does for me. Maybe you've never been to the sea, maybe it reminds you of one time that you went on holiday on a warm summer's sandy beach. I mean, that could be what your memory is with it. For me, it's very much a coastal town in England. Everyone has a very, very different idea for maybe the same thing, which is nice to talk about. And if you have anything that you'd like to share, please, please, please do put anything up in question and answer, because I would love to hear your thoughts and your ideas and to share them with everyone. So let's try something else. I will put in the box. So as it's spring, daffodils are starting to pop out. I've chosen a daffodil from the garden. So if you have maybe bought a daffodil as well, or a living object with you, have a look at it in detail. What does it remind you of? How does it feel? So if you liked fact, emotion, description, let's have a go at doing it. Fact, it's a daffodil. Emotion, it reminds me of spring, the sun finally starting to creep back in, just like it is now. We've been stuck in such a grey, misty fog every single day, and suddenly you wake up and there's a tiny bit of sun in your face and you just think, oh my goodness, I'm so relieved. We all need it. Spring and summer is coming. How does it feel? How does this object make you feel? How does it feel literally? Description, it is bright, it is yellow and golden. So perhaps you could say something like this: the bright golden beams of a sunny spring daffodil. Golden, a bit like this tiny sun standing there. I'm sure you're getting the hang of it now. I'll just give you a few moments to write this down in whatever way you wish. Please, just please don't think that you have to make it sound anything like I am doing. It's completely your own ideas. But maybe this might help spark something. So take another object, perhaps something more obscure, if you wish. I will put in the box. So this is where I light my candles and I like to watch the wax drip down. So words like drip, drop, splat all have onomatopoeic effects, which can be really, really nice to use in poems. And sometimes we can repeat these words to create an even better effect. So for this object, we might say the red drip, drip, drip of a melting wax candle. And the drip, 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 the repetition of drip, drip, drip can help emphasize the movement of the wax dripping. We almost imagine it dripping in that moment. And then immediately, the reader, the listener, whoever, can be taken back into the experience that maybe you've had. So think about that. Maybe try some repetition this time with your object. Is there a word you could repeat that would be useful? Is there a sound? Is there an onomatopoeic word, a word that sounds like it's written, or it drip, 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 drop, splat? It could be boom, crash. Choose a word that you think works the best. Try a few, try them out loud. Don't feel that you have to work in your head. We're all different. I'm quite vocal. I need to say things out loud to get them right or move them around in my body. Some people like to sit in themselves and think more deeply and come up with it in that way. It's totally up to you. Maybe you're more visual. Maybe you need to write these things down and then look at them and to work it out. Everyone is very, very different. Try maybe something, if you know what kind of person you are, maybe try something in a different way. If you're more visual, maybe try being more vocal or physical. Or if you're more vocal and physical, maybe you can try just almost closing your eyes, like meditating, and just think of it really quietly. So let's try another one. I will put in the box. So as you can see here, this is a homemade object. It's made out of clay. And it reminds me of my childhood, where I would give voices to objects, characters, and toys. I'm sure we've all done that, can all remember that. So I'm going to go back, I think, to fact, emotion, description. So fact, it's made out of clay. Emotion, it's whispering secrets to me. Description, it is a rainbow coloured fish. So it might turn out something like the whisper of a rainbow fish carved out of clay. Have you got an object with you that could have a particular voice? Is it whispering, shouting, talking, laughing? You can be as inventive as you like. Really, really, really. What colour is it? Rainbow coloured? Green, blue, black? Transparent, perhaps. Perhaps there's no colour to it. And just write the words down. Try not to overthink it if you are. I'm very much someone to overthink a lot of things, and I tend to find that my first instincts are normally right. So just try today. Don't almost overthink it. Fact, emotion, description, think for it for a few moments, write it down, and then you can always change it afterwards. But try and just trust yourself, just trust your instincts and just write. Comes to your mind down. And I find if you've chosen things which we all have that are important to us or we see every day or, are within our rooms, very personal and private, you should trust your instincts because you know these things really well. You don't have to overthink them. So I will put in the box. Now, if you've got one, this might be a nice time to look at a photograph or a painting that paints a particular story. So this card certainly paints an atmospheric story for me. I see 3 wild horses. They definitely look wild, galloping in a blue sky. And I imagine as the sky is blue, that there is a fog, a mist, that it might be cold. I can almost hear them galloping along. And so let yourself have a look at this painting, this photograph. If you haven't got a painting or a photograph or a picture, please don't worry. But maybe if you have an image, something that's maybe slightly more abstract, and let yourself become immersed in what you are being given. What mood, atmosphere does it create? What can you hear? I hear the horses galloping. What can you see? Cold, blue, mist, wind. What does yours create? Maybe it's completely opposite to mine. Warm, exciting, bubbly atmosphere. What kind of atmosphere is being created? So you might say for this, 3 wild horses galloping in the cold, misty midnight sky. Just trust yourself and write down the words that you feel are right. Okay, so I will put in the box. Okay, so this is a photograph of objects that remind me of a particular person, and that is my mother. So she sent me this photo in the middle of lockdown after she had been on a long walk, and I've chosen it because sometimes less is more, and you might like to choose an object or a memory now where you can simply describe it as it is. So for this, I would say 4 precious pebbles from my mother's hands. So you might like to use some alliteration. Precious pebbles, the double P, helping me highlight how precious and special these pebbles are sitting in my mother's hands. I will put in the box. Here is another example of describing an object in a simple yet effective way. Perhaps you might write something like this: a cage for a bird to sing. And sometimes what is nice about writing something as it is, simple way, there's a lot of space around the words and around the line for us to create our own stories. And what that might mean to us could be literal, an actual bird to sing in a cage, of course. What kind of song do we want that bird to sing? What kind of things do we imagine? Is it a metaphor? Is the bird a woman that we know, that we wish could have a voice? It could be anything. So pick an object and describe it in a simple way, using words that are necessary, I suppose. It's all you need. So moving on, I will put in the box. So now might be a good time for you to choose a photograph or a memory from your past. So this is a photograph of my grandmother's cat, Mimi, with a litter of 10 tabby kittens. And I remember seeing them being born. It was an unbelievably magical moment. I'll never forget it. Really, really, really beautiful. 10 newborn tabby kittens nestling up to their mother. And this will be nice, maybe, especially if you're in a group. You might have a holiday photograph or a time that you did something really exciting. And I know that we've all been obviously stuck inside for so long now, but it's nice to know, these things will happen again slowly but surely. And it's nice to talk about these things, remember the times that we've had that were really, really, really wonderful and that we spent together and we felt free or hopeful and excited. So yeah, I'm sure that you have a photograph, that you have a really lovely memory. Maybe you were camping with your family, or maybe it was your first day at school. Maybe that's a lovely memory for some people, maybe not so lovely for others. Which one do you want to put in the box? Remember, this is your box. It's your box, so it's your poem. So you can choose. What do you want to put in it? As many things as you like, as little things as you like. That's another thing. Please don't feel like you have to do every single one. Whatever feels right. Do as much or as little as you wish. Okay, so I will put in the box this. Speaking of newborn, let's go back to spring. Or maybe you have brought something with you that you found on a walk or an adventure. It could be absolutely anything. Perhaps choose your favorite technique to describe your object, or try and immerse yourself in the sensory experience of the object or memory itself. So let's all try and just close our eyes, inspired by this object or this photograph, whatever it might be, and just try and go back to that time. Just completely relax. Take a deep breath in, keep your shoulders back. So these snowdrops, I'm going back into the memory, I'm looking at the photo. They're so delicate, they're so dainty, they almost remind me of little ballet dancers, sort of gracefully waving. So I might write something like a flurry of newborn snowdrops gracefully waving to spring. So just let yourself go back to that moment. Okay. Great. I will put in the box another photograph from a walk. So immersing myself in the image, I feel, what do I feel? I feel the colours burning. I feel the sun reflecting, the feeling of dusk, the end of the day starting to approach, just starting to close the whole day. So I might write something like the reflection of an amber sun burning, slowly setting at dusk. I will put in the box So I took this image recently. I dried some rose petals, one of the random things I did when I was really bored in the middle of lockdown. And I was playing with them in my room with my kitten, Lenka, on top of this silky piece of sari material. And it was really lovely, and spring had just started happening. So there was a tiny bit of sun, as you can see, in the room. And I suddenly felt really relaxed and kind of hopeful, and it was really, really lovely. So perhaps for something like this, I might write freshly dried rose petals resting on a silky sapphire sari. It's definitely kind of a sapphire colour. Very beautiful colour. Perhaps there's a prominent colour in what you're looking at right now. That might be, what colour is it? Try and be specific. Choose the best words, the very best words. So we're going to the next part of today's session. Just maybe grab a drink of water, a sip of coffee, whatever you feel like you need, for just a tiny bit of a moment just to reflect on what we've been doing. Maybe you want to read over what you've written. Maybe if you're with other people, you might want to discuss some things. If you, oh, amazing. So Lata Nopes, amazing. I've written about my guitar and an old photograph. That's so nice. That's so, so nice. Could you share, Lata, could you share what you've written? I'd love to read it. Anyone, if you've got a line that you're particularly proud of, please share it. If you don't want to say your name and you're embarrassed about it, but you want to share it, please share it anyway. It would be so nice to hear what other people have been writing. Okay, so whilst we're having a tiny sort of relax, crack of your back, anything you wish. Maybe you feel you've come to this and you think, I haven't got enough objects, these aren't the right objects. If you feel like that, or you just want to go and get some more things, now is a chance to go and pick some other objects from around your room or on your person, to have a look at in more detail. So I'm going to hold a few things up to the camera to have a look at closely, and I'm going to think of ways to describe them using the tools that we have learned so far. And at this point, we can also put things in the box that aren't objects at all. Perhaps we want to place something in that is a place that's special to us, or a human emotion, a time of year. So, for example, I could say, I will put in the box the purple Yorkshire moors. My mother got married about 5 years ago, and she moved to Yorkshire, and I'd never really spent much time there. But I have now, and it's absolutely incredible. And if I could capture that feeling of being in the middle of the moors in a moment and put it in a box, I could. Obviously, it's impossible, but in my poem, maybe it is possible. A crash of thunder, maybe. It's quite exciting, and thunder and lightning, or maybe you're scared of it. Everyone's different. The cackle of a witch. I used to read Winnie the Witch when I was a kid, and I loved it. I don't know if any of you have read Winnie the Witch, but I would really recommend it. She's super cool, and she has loads of stripy tights and socks, and I think she's amazing. Maybe a summer's morning. Everyone loves summer's mornings. Getting up slowly, having a cup of tea in the sun. Really blissful, really peaceful. Maybe the cry of a newborn baby. I've personally never seen a baby being born, but I know a lot of people have. I know some of you will have. And it, I'm sure, is a magical, magical, magical moment. The pitter-patter of rain on a tin roof. The pitter-patter, that really helps us feel the pitter-patter of rain. I used to live in a house where literally that was what I had, a tin roof, and the rain, it's unbelievable to listen to. Really, really, really immersive and calming. I love it. Perhaps we might want to put in the love of a mother. And actually, I didn't realise it until this morning, but it is a full moon today. Perhaps we could put in the full moon in the midnight sky. It's amazing when there's a full moon and it's so big and round and white and glistening, and really quite an incredible thing to look at. It would be a lovely thing to put in the box. So it can be anything you like. You can make it, can be something that sounds like it's from another planet. It doesn't have to be something real in real life. Could be, you could put in an alien invasion into your box if you wanted to, anything you like. And if you wear any jewelry, as quite a lot of us do, I tend to think, so hopefully you've got something on you, it might be a good time to take it off and have a proper look at it. So put it up to the camera so you can see. This is what I wear all the time. So I got this necklace, I bought it with my best friend at a charity shop, and it reminds me of my childhood. Not that I bought it when I was a child, I bought it probably a few months ago, not a few months ago, a year ago, goodness me. But I love it. It reminds me of something I had when I was a kid, and it's fun, and it's got glass beads, and it's rainbow coloured, and I can wrap it around my head once, like this. And it makes me just feel really, really happy. That's why I love wearing it. But what does your jewelry mean to you? I mean, obviously some of you might have wedding rings, some of you might have friendship bracelets, something that probably reminds you of another person, and whether that person is with you now, that you're living with them, or whether you haven't seen that person for a long time. It's nice to think about these things, these memories that go with something that we hold very dear, and we get so used to it as well. We wear these things all the time. You kind of forget to think about them deeply. So it's nice to take a moment to, what does it feel like to touch? Really hold your object. Is it hold it really, really, really tight, or keep it on your lap? What does it feel like to touch? So I'm just going to give you a few moments, just describe it, what it means to you in any way you like. But please remember, this is your poem, so you make the rules. You can try something we haven't tried before. I'd love to hear, I'd love to see some of your own ideas. So please feel free to just type anything up, and I can have a look at your ideas. I'm very excited to hear them, read them. And also, I mean, I think it's definitely been a year for pets. I got a kitten in lockdown. You could put in your kitten into your box. I'm just gonna get her. Hello. Oh. You could put in a sleepy kitten. She's very sleepy. You could put in a sleepy kitten, couldn't you? Hello. I just woke her up to but maybe you want to put your best friend or brother or your sister, or maybe a holiday with that friend, or maybe just the cuddles of a pet. It's so important to have these things with you. Special things to us. Hello. Hello. So just take a few moments. What things are special to you? Sorry, darling one. Go on. Go on. What can you put in your box? Again, any questions, anything that you want to say, please feel free to share it with me. I'm just going to let you sit for a few minutes. We've done a lot. Reflect on things that we've been speaking about. No rush. If you're working as a group, perhaps you will have one big box and you're putting in all of your different things. That would be really lovely. If you're on your own, one special box with all of your special magical memories and moments and objects. Lotta says that her mum has written about her golden bangle. That's amazing. What can I ask she has written about her golden bangle? Lovely to hear and read what you have written. I'm just going to give a few more minutes. I'm sure maybe someone out here as well has a charm bracelet. I've never had one, but I have a lot of people and friends that have them, and obviously you have a different memory for each charm on the bracelet, and that would be a really wonderful thing to write about. And remember, it's a Sunday. We don't have to push ourselves or tire ourselves out or stress ourselves out. Just take it in your own time, as you wish. Even if you just have a few objects and you think about them and can describe them in some way, that's just nice. That's perfect. So we're just finishing this part of the session, and we're going to move on to thinking about what our box might be made out of. So this could be anything you like, anything at all. So you might want to start your last line with, my box is fashioned from, or my box is made from. You don't have to have either of those lines, but that's the kind of thing we're going for. My box is made from, my box is fashioned from. And here are some pictures that might spark off some ideas. Perhaps your box is hand painted. Is it a certain color? Does it have a particular clasp to close it? Is your box secret? Does it have a lock and a key? Is your box wide open? Your box could be made out of cardboard, wood, recycled plastic, whatever you wish. And I've got a few things just around in my room that I've just, materials, what kind of materials? I've got a thing of buttons here. Maybe you want your whole box to be made out of buttons. That would be pretty cool. I would like that. And have a moment just to think, what would I want my, it's totally up to you. Totally up to you to choose. And then perhaps there is a story behind your box. So was it the treasure chest of an evil pirate? Did you find it at the bottom of the ocean? Is the box belonging to a mermaid? Is it a box that you have had within your family? Perhaps it was a box belonging to your grandmother, or a chest that you have had since childhood. So use what we have learned so far to describe your box in as much detail as possible. Whilst we're in the middle of doing that as well, perhaps you might like to, now obviously this is if you have something lying around your house. I didn't specifically say to bring this, but I just picked something up right now. This is a old tea box. So I used to have my tea in here, and I've just stuck some white paper on it, simple as that. And it means that I have sort of a blank canvas to make this whatever way I want it to be. So I might want to take my box and use my buttons. I might want to stick my buttons all over my box, like a mermaid's treasure chest, trove, exciting thing. I might want to stick everything over. I might want to cover it in glitter. That's one idea. One other idea, which I have always liked to do ever since I was a kid, is to get nail varnish. So it's just so great, nail varnish, because it's shiny. And well, I like shiny things, but if you don't, obviously don't use nail varnish. But you can just do anything you like. You could just paint. You could paint your box with nail varnish if you wanted to, and it would have this sort of glossy, if you see. So maybe you want to write on your box your name, and you might want to write magic box, Scarlett's magic box. You might want to keep it really, really simple. But if you, this is obviously, guys, if you want to just carry on with writing right now, just write. That's totally fine. Some people like doing things like this, some people don't. To be honest, I like doing them sometimes, and sometimes I really can't be bothered. So just do whatever feels right to you right now. So look, I'm going like this. I'm starting, so I'm going to leave that to dry for a second because I think there are a few. So Charlotte Brown says, mine's an empty jewelry box. Oh, amazing. Such a good idea to cover it first. Yeah, so cover it you can do anything basically. And also, which might be nice, which is probably what I would do, is I would write each sentence or the sentences I'm most proud of that I've written within my poem. And I'd write them out in my own way. It can be in colours. You could print them out on the computer if you prefer doing things on the computer. It's up to you, whatever you find exciting. Otherwise, what's the point in doing it? So write these phrases out, or maybe you want to draw them. Maybe you prefer drawing pictures. You want to draw your holiday, or you want to put that photograph inside your box. It's up to you. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. And then you can either put all of your phrases as words, your objects, or your drawings, or a mixture of all of them. That's also really, really cool. And you can just start putting them inside. And it might be also really nice, because it's obviously been a really challenging year for everyone. It might be really nice to keep this and look back in this in the future. You know, we have lots of time portal boxes and things like that. If you're doing this as a family or a group of friends, however you're coming to this, you might want to step outside into the garden, and you might want to bury your box and look back on it and be like, wow, that time when that strange coronavirus thing and we all couldn't leave our houses. I mean, it's been completely insane for everyone. So that's it with some nail varnish on. There's a bit of pink peeking from the top from where it was before. Hopefully that will dry really nicely. Maybe I might want to put over some material. So this is a piece of lace, and it's of a bird. So maybe I want to cover my box with some material. Maybe I want to write words all over my box. You can do whatever you wish. An old tea box is quite good because they have like already a lid kind of thing that you can open and close. You could use Yorkshire tea, pucker teas, any of them, whatever you prefer. And then if you want anything else, one thing I've got, which is from my mum, gave this to me. It's a tiny little heart and it's sparkly. And I'm going to put that on my box. So I'm just using the end of my paintbrush so I can just do a dab. So there's a dab of PVA, obviously it will dry clear, as you all know. And then I have a heart on my box, and I can put all my things, and obviously this isn't finished, I would want to put some other colours on the side. And maybe you want, if you've got colouring pens, anything, you can do whatever you like. But that's my first go at it. Quite silly. To me, also, it's quite like a treasure chest for me. I think I would definitely, my box would go treasure chest, kind of mermaid kind of thing. But it's totally up to you what excites you. And does your box have a particular smell? Does it make a particular sound if you shake it? So really use your 5 senses here. You know, what does it feel like to touch? Is it heavy? Is it light? Does it seem old? Does it seem new? And try and describe, I'm just going to let you, these last few minutes, we're coming towards the end of the session, just try and describe the box that you've either made or that you've created in your head, whichever way that you find it feels right for you. And just as it is the last few moments of the session, if you have any questions and answers, please put them up now. If you want to share your favourite, most exciting, proud moment line that you've written, please just type it up and we can read it. And just if this, I'm sure it's extremely obvious and you don't need to hear this, but if you were wondering, I obviously have just covered this in paper with PVA glue. It's nothing fancy. I mean, I haven't really done it very well here, to be honest, but it's really just put a piece of paper around it, cut it to fit it, stick on with PVA glue. That's the way to do it. I'm sure some of you will be much more DIY savvy. Maybe you've got some incredible thing that you've created. I would love to see it. I'd love to be inspired by all of your stuff and your ideas. So Charlotte says, I'm going to make mine a time capsule so I can look back on 2020. Oh my God, that's so nice. That's going to be so lovely. Really, really lovely. I think I'll probably definitely will do this myself later. It's quite a nice Sunday thing to do as well, isn't it? Just be really calm and just sit with yourself and there's no pressure. And now you can see my glue is starting to dry, so it's a little hard. Okay, so I hope that something in the session has inspired you today or sparked off something. I know we've all been feeling quite foggy and stuck, being so isolated and not being able to do anything. I'm hoping it's given you some sort of feeling of excitement and vigor and, you know, something that makes you feel like you've used your brain or you've used your mind in a good way, an exciting way, not just watching Netflix all day in bed. I have not been doing that, honestly. This is such, Charlotte, this is such a lovely form of self-care too. Thank you, Scarlett. Thank you, Charlotte and Scarlett. It's hilarious that you're called Charlotte because everyone called me Charlotte at school because they, for some reason, sounds obviously like Scarlett. So thank you, Charlotte. That's really kind. And all I can say is it's so much easier to stay. I mean, I'm speaking and I'm saying, let's do this magic box, but if I hadn't been doing this session, I wouldn't have thought to do this. So it's really been this session that's made me think about it. And it's been really, really wonderful to share some of my memories with you and speak about these things. I think it's really, really, really important. Lata, thank you so much, Scarlett. We found it very relaxing and positive. I'm so glad. That's the the main things that we need to be doing right now. Relaxing and being positive, not relaxing and being negative, because I've definitely been doing that as well. But yeah, any few questions, if you'd like to share again, anything, please do. But let us know what you think. You can get in touch by email, info@tramshed.org, or social media. Links will be up in the chat now. And the session will stay on YouTube Live, so you can catch up again later, or you can send the link to your friends, share it with your networks. Why not subscribe to Tramshed's YouTube account and choose notifications on so you don't miss out. And just a few small things before we finish. Tramshed are incredible, and they try and keep the majority of their programs free. So we'd be so grateful if you could please fill out their monitoring form. It only takes a couple of minutes. You can find the link in the chat. It would be incredible and helpful, and we would love you if you would do this. And if you know someone without digital access, I mean, I grew up my whole life without a TV or without anything digital. It's totally normal. It's totally fine. Lots of people don't have things digitally. If you know someone without the digital access, please tell them. I mean, even your grandmother, my grandmother would love to do something like this, and she doesn't have a TV and she doesn't have anything. So, well, she has things, radios and books, but, doesn't have anything digitally. So please tell them they can download an activity sheet from the website. But if you don't have a computer, they don't have a computer, get in touch with Tramshed by phone, email them. They're all really, really lovely. They can post an activity sheet straight to you. And then the last thing, please share your creations. Take photos, videos, whatever. Maybe you've been doing it all together. Maybe you'd like to now create a video of all of you putting something in a magic box. Please share them with us via email, social media, or by dropping off your masterpieces at Tramshed's venue, which I think is amazing. It's open Mondays 12 till 4. Mondays 12 till 4. They'll be displayed. They're displayed all the time. Drop them off Mondays 12 to 4. They're going to be displayed in the community art gallery window display, and yeah, it would be really cool to see them in real life, like an exhibition in real life that we can look at. That would be really nice. And this session has been part of Tramshed's All Together Now programme. There'll be free sessions on YouTube Live every Tuesday and Sunday at 4 p.m. throughout spring, which is so lovely. Gives us something to look forward to. Slowly easing ourselves back out into the world and out of lockdown. And this coming Tuesday at 4 p.m, we have junk modelling puppetry, which is really exciting. And then Sunday, we have kitchen crafts cook-along. So we've got amazing things coming up. And if you want to find out anything more, tramshed.org. And thank you. Have a lovely, lovely, lovely rest of your day. And please share your creations with us. Bye.